One day I'm quietly debugging CSS, and the next I feel like Matthew McConaughey in True Detective, trying to figure out whether the data on the project is real or someone's trying to trick me really badly. It's never boring. On the first day, I always do introductions where I ask about the motivation of students, why are you here, and so on. Many people say for the money, which honestly drives me crazy, because forcing yourself to love coding, you won't achieve much in IT. However, this guy submits a professional looking page with perfect HTML structure, CSS animations, everything. I'm looking at this thinking, there is no way a day one learner did that. The effort he put into not learning was more than it would have taken just to learn.
Hi everyone, we are launching a new kind of video content. Besides the Devtorium podcast, which you can already find on our YouTube channel, we are starting short video interviews with our awesome Devtorium devs. So, for our first episode, we already have a special guest, Yuliia Lytvyn, head of front-end at Devtorium, with almost 8 years of experience at the company and 14 years in development.
Hi dear viewers. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. However, I think if you decide to grow vertically, not just horizontally, you really need to stick with your company and follow your career path there for quite some time.
Totally agree with you, Yulia. So, you've probably seen it all in the front end. What's the wildest thing about this field?
Honestly, even after being in this field for so long, I feel like I've barely seen anything. This industry always finds a way to surprise me. One day I'm quietly debugging CSS, and the next I feel like Matthew McConaughey in True Detective, trying to figure out whether the data on the project is real or someone's trying to trick me really badly. It's never boring.
Sounds intense. I'm guessing you've got plenty of stories up your sleeve. Let's hear a few that really show what life is like behind the crime scenes of software development.
I've got some good ones.
Well, your first story would be about your period of teaching at the front-end courses, right?
Yeah, it's about one student who seemed too good to be true. I taught offline classes at Beetroot Academy, small groups, 10 to 13 students, very hands-on. How I miss that period of time. By the way, many of the current Devtorium employees were my students.
Great. So you are not only pro at development, but also an excellent mentor.
Oh, thanks. So back to the story. On the first day, I always do introductions where I ask about the motivation of students, why are you here, and so on. Many people say for the money, which honestly drives me crazy, because forcing yourself to love coding, you won't achieve much in IT. But then a football player walks in. He was a former professional from original team. He said football wasn't paying and he wanted a career switch. Sounded legit.
Yeah, but when did the red flags pop up?
The very first homework assignment. I gave a simple task to create a basic web page and add some styling. Nothing fancy, just to see what they can do. However, this guy submits a professional-looking page with perfect HTML structure, CSS animations, everything. I'm looking at this thinking, there is no way a day one learner did that.
Maybe he's a genius. So, what did you do?
I started observing him. He'd say in the back row like a typical struggling student, barely participating in discussions. Then he began skipping classes entirely, only showing up for the control sessions. But somehow his homework kept getting more sophisticated.
That must have been frustrating as a teacher.
It was. Meanwhile, I'm streaming all my lessons on YouTube for students who miss class. I can see he's not watching the recordings either. So finally, after one exam, I asked him to stay behind for a chat.
So, confronted him, and what happened next?
I open up his homework on my laptop and ask him to explain the code. Just basic stuff. What does this function do? Why did you choose this approach? And he just freezes. Completely blank stare. Can't explain a single line of his own code.
Oh my god, busted.
Not quite yet, so I ask him directly, what's going on? Where are you getting help? And he's just sitting there, frozen. Then one of my former students from a previous class comes to me privately and spills everything. The football player had hired this former student, let's call him the Ghostwriter, to do all his coursework remotely. I'm sitting there thinking, you hired a person and paid full tuition. just to avoid learning to code. The effort he put into not learning was more than it would have taken just to learn.
What was his reasoning?
He thought programming was like getting a driver's license. Pass the test, get the certificate. Boom, and you are qualified for IT jobs. I had to explain that in our industry, the paper is worthless without the knowledge. Code either works or it doesn't. You can't fake your way through a technical interview.
So, Yulia, how did you handle it?
Well, he did pay for the course, so I couldn't just kick him out. We had 2 certificates, attended the course and junior front-end developer. Since he paid, I could issue the first, but not the second. Probably the most expensive piece of paper of his life. But you know what? I hope it taught him something about shortcuts versus actual learning.
Now, let's talk about some genuinely uncharted territory. You led Devtorium's first official React Native project. What was the setup?
This project is a small step for dev, but a big step for a company, because for years we'd been saying we should do mobile apps, despite being honestly scared to start. We had lack of mobile expertise and knowledge of App Store policies. Then one client came with a project for creating a management app, so we thought, this is our chance.
I heard that this project is very special for the company.
True, it was our first official mobile app that we could actually be proud of and show off. Before this, if a client asked about mobile development, we'd have to say, sorry, we don't do that. This project was our chance to finally change that answer.
So, who was on the team? This was pretty new territory for everyone, right?
Yeah, so our developer, Luda, was the main React Native developer, even though she'd never touched React Native before. I was doing a backend with Node.js, also learning as we went. It was like learning to drive while building the car.
I bet there were some surprises along the way.
First surprise, you need a developer's license just to test on iOS. That's $99 nobody warned us about. Then we discover there are different types of testing. Internal testing for your team, external testing for beta users, and each has different approval processes.
Android must have been easier.
Android is just different. There are many pitfalls as well, even when registering a developer account. But iOS, you have to create a website for the app, have completely polished functionality, and provide a very clear agreement explanation. iOS really wants to make sure you are serious about this.
What about the App Store submission?
That's where things got really interesting. We spent weeks getting everything perfect submitted to the App Store and rejected. Why? Because the icons and menu select transition animations or other visual effects, they were simply inactive. iOS doesn't like that.
Sadly, that's still not the end. You have also to provide a website for your app's privacy policy, right?
Yep. We had to quickly create a landing page just to explain how we handle user data. It was like being told you need a permit to get a permit. So many hidden requirements that only become visible when you hit them.
And how long did the whole process take?
Way longer than we estimated because we kept discovering new requirements. But here is the thing. Every obstacle taught us something valuable. Now, when clients ask about mobile development, we can give accurate timelines and warn them about these gotchas.
What's the current status?
The app is already live on the App Store. We only got rejected twice, which was actually really lucky. This process usually takes much longer. In our case, it took about 5 days max, while some apps can be stuck in review for months. More importantly, we now have mobile app expertise. We went from we don't do mobile to we know mobile development because we were willing to take on this scary project.
That's the classic developer journey. The scariest projects end up teaching you the most.
Exactly. And now Luda is our rock star in React Native. She can take on mobile projects with confidence because she has been through all the pain points already.
Your third story involves the same project but a completely different kind of a problem, becoming an accidental data detective.
Right, so this app was supposed to predict foot traffic for using historical location data. The client was paying serious money for this specialized data from an analytics provider.
Expensive data should mean accurate data, right?
That's what we thought. The logic was simple. If someone's charging premium prices for foot traffic analytics, it must be a good quality one, right? We just had to build the prediction algorithms around it.
But something went wrong again.
The client starts testing our predictions and say, these numbers are completely wrong. According to your app, I should have had 15% of crowdness, but I actually had 70%. At first, we thought maybe our prediction algorithm was off. I decided to dig into the raw data directly instead of just looking at our processed results. I pulled weeks of historical data and started looking for patterns. What I saw made my heart skip a bit.
So, what did you find?
Every Monday at 2 p.m., exactly 10 visitors. Every Tuesday at 2 p.m., exactly 10 visitors. Every Friday at the same time, exactly 10 visitors. Perfect mathematical patterns repeating week after week.
That's not how human behavior works.
Exactly. Real foot traffic has natural variation. Sometimes 8 people show up, sometimes 12, sometimes 15. Weather, events, and random chance all affect it. You don't get perfect patterns unless someone's generating them with an algorithm.
You discovered the data was fake.
Completely fabricated. This premium analytics provider was essentially selling the client computer-generated random numbers disguised as real foot traffic data. Our client was paying thousands of dollars for fake data.
How did the client react?
He was furious, and rightfully so. But then he asked why we didn't catch this earlier, which was a fair question. We were just trusting that expensive data meant accurate data.
What did we learn from all this story?
Trust but verify. Now we always include data sanity check in our project estimates. We can't physically count the number of people walking past buildings in different countries, but we can identify statistical patterns that don't make sense.
It's like being an in-depth accountant for data.
That's a perfect analogy. We learn to build validation into our process. If data looks too clean, too perfect, or follows unnatural patterns, we flag it immediately and discuss it with the client before building features around it.
Yuliia, thank you for these 3 adventurous stories today. Ghostwriter, our first React Native launch with all the App Store challenges, and the case of the too much exact data outputs.
Yep, and 3 pieces of advice from my side in one episode. Learn for real, ship iteratively, and always sanity check your inputs.
If you are watching this and building something, chase skills, not certificates. Budget extra times for platform surprises, and always QA your data like any other dependency.
Couldn't agree more. And if you're stuck on any of that, drop your questions in the comments. We read them all.
Big thanks to Yuliia Lytvyn, head of frontend at Devtorium. If you like this format, hit subscribe, like, and share.
Next time, we can dig into team setup for full stack squads or how to pick between React and Angular in real projects.
Deal. This was Devtorium Dev Stories. See you in the next episode. Same place, more code, fewer myths. Bye.
Bye.